It was as bad as I thought, but they made sure they could spin it by saying we're not attacking working people. And the two examples there are we're not going to penny off a pint of beer. Does that matter when it's £6 a pint anyway? And the second point was we're not raising fuel duty. We're still keeping that frozen. They're the two. They're the two things they've thrown to the general public, going to the working person. Look, we are for you. Everything else seemed to be anti-business.
Everything was anti-business, and that penny off a pint. I did a video saying, "Is she taking the pee or what?" A penny off a pint, really? I think it amounted to, was it 1.7% or something like that? It's absolutely, how is that going to help any small business like a pub or a restaurant when they've seen the heating bills go through the roof? No doubt the renting costs go through the roof, the mortgage costs for the breweries, the management companies go through the roof. Mortgages are now predicted to go up higher than what they were under the Tories when we had that huge spike. I mean, I don't understand in any way, shape, or form how they've helped people and keeping fuel duty the same. Over 50% of what we pay at the pumps in this country is duty and tax. It could have been brought down a hell of a lot more. We pay the highest energy bills in the whole of Europe. Sorry, the whole of the world, I think it is actually electricity bills. And what they're doing, they're going to take farmland away to decrease our food supply with the inheritance tax rises, meaning that farms, if someone dies in the next 5 years, we're going to lose that farming land to some big conglomerate, big corporation that can come in and buy all that land and probably give it to Ed Miliband to put a lot of solar panels on. What we've just seen is an absolute disaster for this economy. And what we've talked about there is just the tip of the iceberg. There's so much more. I've done a big in-depth thing with the VAT on private schools. We'll go through it in a bit if you like. It doesn't take long, but honestly, it's a disaster. It's not going to benefit the economy. The OBR and IFS have already had to revise all growth, saying there will be no growth, next to no growth by the year 2030. Now you're looking at about 1.8 to 2.5% in the next 5 years, which is laughable.
Yes. So first of all, we need to say that they're they're raising more money through taxation than ever before. So they're taxing us more than we've ever been taxed in the history of this country. They've just raised 40 billion. The worst one before that was 33 billion. So that they're taking more and more money off us. And I think their philosophy is, but you know what? You don't need this money because the state is going to provide everything for you. So why do you need these big wages? Because we're going to provide everything for you: your health care, your protection, your this, your that, your schooling. And I really do think they believe that this socialist utopia is just down the road if we can just tax more people and get more money.
Well, they might believe it, but it's not going to happen. In fact, Jeremy, I don't know if you saw it or not. I'm not a huge fan of him, but Jeremy Clarkson, who's obviously a farmer these days, put out a really interesting statement, which I'm just trying to find now. And he said, "Farmers, I know that you've been shafted today, but please don't despair. Just look after yourselves for 5 short years, and this shower will be gone." And I think that sums it up. These people haven't got a clue how to run the economy, but luckily they also haven't got a hope in hell of getting re-elected at the next election. The Storm has already plummeted 49 approval points since winning the election. There is no coming back from that. There's was it a lettuce or a cabbage they put out after Liz Truss's budget? It was a cabbage, wasn't it? A lettuce, sorry. Yeah. Well, now there's one going round about Rachel Reeves already because the gilt markets are now rising. When Liz Truss did her budget, the gilt markets, which is the government bonds for anyone who doesn't know, went up to 4.38%. They've now gone up to 4.41 yesterday after the budget. And today, I've just looked, they've hit 4.46. And people who are far smarter than me when it comes to economics have said if it gets over 4.5, you're talking serious, serious trouble for the economy and trouble for the government, worse than what Liz Truss was in. So you could actually be seeing the acceleration of the downfall of this disastrous government.
And I've been saying that to you for a good month now. Let's wait for the budget because everything else is going tits up. Let's wait for the budget and see how bad it is. I I think they've managed to do a PR job on the budget a little bit with the general public because most people don't understand economics and borrowing rates and how businesses work. That goes above most people's heads. So the fact the frozen fuel duty, most people have gone, oh, thank God for that. And you've knocked some money off beer. Oh, thank God for that. So they've got away with that. But the big test now is the business market. How are they going to react? So national insurance that businesses pay is shot up. They've lowered the amount they have to start paying it from. Will businesses start leaving? Will businesses start letting people go because they can't afford the wage bill that it will be now? So it means we've got so much money to spend on wages. We've got too many staff, so someone has to go. Will employment rise? Will investment in the country dry up? If all this begins to happen, this will, I think, lead to an early election.
Wow, that's serious. Early election. See, I've always said that's impossible because of the majority they've got. I mean, it's obviously nothing's impossible.
Yeah,
But
if you just look back to the 1970s, we had elections every couple of years, mostly because of the economy. The unions kept bringing down government, strikes kept bringing them down, unemployment brought down governments, high borrowing, nothing working. It can bring down a government. That's why I think this may happen only because of my memories of the 1970s.
well, it certainly brought this trust down, didn't it? The markets. So there's definitely the possibility that the markets can bring them down. Like you said, that is the most important thing now. What's going to happen with businesses? So we know that non-doms are leaving in record rates. Non-doms, for example, contribute £9 billion in tax to this country. So that a big proportion of that is going to leave the country. If I was a big business owner, I'd be leaving this country as well, and I'd go to another country where the corporation tax, etc., is a lot lower. National insurance or whatever form of equivalent to national insurance is in that country is lower, and I'd just make sure that my business was okay before the United Kingdom. And that's what we're going to see here. As these gilt markets rise, all that's going to happen is interest rates are going to shoot up because of public sector pay rises that we can't afford. And I've actually contributed now to this mythical black hole. We're going to see mortgage rates rise, as I've just said. That's already predicted to go through the roof. The OBR gave an interview, and the OBR, people are saying they're becoming politicized, which to an extent I think they are. But they were very honest in their interview with, I can't remember now, someone on Sky News. And they said, because Rachel Reeves in her budget statement yesterday said the OBR was going to publish a full comprehensive breakdown of the 22 billion black hole. And the OBR came out yesterday live on TV and said there is 9.5 billion black hole left by the Tories because the Tories didn't tell them about this 9.5 billion of spending. So that's fair dues. That looks like Labour were telling the truth on the 9.5. But then they pushed them on the 22 billion. And then the OBR said, I think his name is Richard Hughes, he's the chair of the OBR, you can look this up. And he said, well, the rest of it is created by this government, by public sector pay rises and by spending commitments. So over half of this so-called black hole was actually created by this Labour government, not created by the previous Tory administration. So it looks like Jeremy Hunt, who I am not a fan of, was actually telling the truth, and the Tories did not leave us in some existential crisis. In fact, quite the opposite. There was actually small green shoots of growth as the Tories were going out. Not very much, but the tiniest green shoots, if you will.
For people who don't understand economics and all this is going above their head, which I can imagine a fair few people are thinking that, this is the best way to explain it that I would say. As a government, would you rather have 20% of a small cake, or would you rather have 10% of a massive cake? Because 10% of a massive cake, if you think that's the tax, is a hell of a lot more than 20% of a tiny cake. That's how governments get us out of this problem. It's about growing the economy. And we don't need governments to grow the economy. We need governments to get out of the way of business. Businesses will grow the economy. The more governments interfere, the more they tax, the more they put regulations, the more they want more oversight. That stifles business. So businesses can't grow. So therefore, that cake never grows. And that's the problem we've had for many decades, but it's getting worse now under this government. They're not allowing businesses to do what they do best, which is invest, grow, make profits, make a living, employ people, pay tax when it's a fair amount. What they're doing now is saying to businesses, we're going to penalize you. The more successful you are, the more you're going to be penalized. Where's the incentive for those people to carry on, to grow, to invest in this country, not to retire, not to sell up, not to employ more people? I can't see it. I just think we're going to go into stagnation. Did you enjoy that video? I think you did. Come on now, hit that bell, subscribe, comment. Let's build this channel. I need more followers. I need more subscribers. Be part of the journey. See you soon.